G'day everyone and welcome to the GameDay Squad Aussie Rules Fantasy Show. I'm Pitty and alongside Haz, we are the Fantasy Bros. We've partnered with GameDay Squad to bring you everything you need to know to succeed in GDS Aussie Rules this season. And hopefully we have, because joining me to preview the 2026 Wildcard Finals, the first round of our final series competition, and to celebrate the conclusion to a long and at times arduous home and away season is Bales from the AFL Fantasy Fanatics. Bales, how are you, mate?
Good, mate. Yes, very good. I've been enjoying the spoils of winning the Classic Cup, GDS Cup, which is very nice. First
Congratulations.
Cup. Thanks, mate. First cup at GameDay Squad, which is nice because I've sort of been knocked out early in a lot of comps or gotten to, like, say, quarterfinals or round of 16 and then sort of get knocked out and not get close. So first final played in, and safe to say it was a very stressful weekend. I was constantly looking because obviously the leaderboards only showed the top 20. So if me and shout out to Russman as well, who was in the finals, where he had a very, very good second half. I know you boys spoke about it on your show a number of times, how he was sort of come with a real hurry towards the end. And I think you end up finishing quite well in terms of the overall. He fit fourth in Classic for the season. But yeah, no, it was a very good one. And because obviously only shows top 20 at any point of the round, if me and Russman weren't there, I couldn't see how he was going. So, it was nerve-wracking, but it was, 7 points in the end? So it was a very, very close.
Tight.
It would have come, it honestly would have come down to a rarity, right? Would have been, I might have put a gold instead of a silver compared to him, or he would have put a different rarity on there. So it was very, very stressful, but glad to have got that in the end, which is nice.
It's a massive effort, hey, like a huge congratulations. And a huge congratulations to Russman as well. I know we talk about the winner all the time, which we are going to do. We're going to get your side, mate. You can talk for as long as you want, of course, about it in a moment. Go through all the round and who had you on the edge of your seat and whatnot. But like you gave a shout out to Russman there, incredible coach. He picked me at the end in the overall leaderboards. He was making a charge, so big shout out to him. He's an incredible coach too. So he won the cup last year too, I believe. And yeah, mate, big round.
He was going for back to back. So
yes,
I actually forgot about that. So now we've got 1-on-1. So maybe we'll meet again next year.
Maybe, cup specialist they're calling him. Dill's in the chat. G'day, Dill. Trust the bros. Yes, we'll talk about why in a second, why that's important. But before we do talk about that as well, just make sure you've signed Fantasy Bros AU socials, particularly with all our sports kicking off, mate. We've got EPL started last week, Gridiron's on the platform on the desktop version, and so is the NBA as well. So it's all happening. So just make sure you keep up to date with all that at our socials there. Fantasy Bros AU. And of course, it's not too late to get started with GameDay Squad with our final series starting this new competition in Aussie Rules. So use that code on screen if you are a new coach, FBAR26. You can get yourself 3 9-player combo packs. That will get your classic finals team sorted, which we're going to all unpack here tonight. However, before we get there, mate, let's just go straight to you. Like, don't worry about Haz and I. We haven't done, we had a good round. We'll talk about that in a sec, but nothing that compares to the round you just had. Talk us through, how did you win the 2026 GDS Cup against the most informed coach in GameDay Squad Aussie Rules?
Yeah, so as I said, it was funny enough. In Classic, obviously that was where the comp was, the competition it was for. I finished 5th for the week, and Russman finished 6th. So that just shows how close this matchup was. I scored a 3-3-8-2. Russman scored a 3-3-7-5. So it's very stiff to come 6th for the week, and you get pipped by 7 points, and vice versa. If he would have taken it out, I would have felt stiff as well. So it was pretty nerve-wracking week. And also, shout out, as you said, there Haz as well, by the way, first in Classic for the week. So if he was there, we would have bloody taken all of us out. So very, very good week for Haz there. But there was a lot of performers that did well. Most players did their job. When you score over 3,300, nearly 3,400, most people do their job. I guess I'll go straight into my probably Scar, because it's the one that stands out, was probably Tom Sparrow. Thought that he would have put up a better score against the Bulldogs than what he did, and it was a pretty disappointing one. Thankfully, he was the one that dropped off. But when you put I only had a silver, right? So he's one of the rarest bronzes that you can't find him, right? Nowhere. Whereas next year, it's funny, right? GameDay Squad year to year, no one's like, Tom Sparrow's had a great year, right? But no one's going to care about his bronze next year, right? Because he's going to be straight mid. He's not going to. Well, I wouldn't imagine he'll be a top 8, but who knows? What if he breaks that even more? But frustrating from him, a little bit lower. But I guess the star from the lineup, just going through here in terms of who put up some really big scores, like John Noble. I was tempted to
huge
or a bronze on him. I went to silver because I thought he's got the ceiling to put up a score, and I'm very happy I did put the silver because that might have been one decision that got me the win. I was tempted to put a gold as well, but end up with silver there. Actually, Lockie Whitfield gets the scar. Sorry, why am I giving Thomas Sparrow? Lockie Whitfield gets the scar because he was poor in that game, and I put a gold on him, and he counted. He my lowest score. So actually, I'll give my scar to him because Thomas Sparrow didn't count. He gets a bit of a mulligan. He's had a good year, so no, Whitfield gets the scar for sure. Zorko probably not lucky. Is probably lucky not to get the scar as well. I know that you've got him. Now I'll leave you to talk about him. It's a bit disappointing. Midfield did it. Well, actually, like Nick Dacos got rested, but everyone's got Nick Dacos in their lineup there.
Exactly.
Baz is huge. I think he's also a shout to get the star as well. Put the platinum on him. He gets the job done. Dawson was good. Errol just did Errol things again. I was worried about the tag with no Heaney, no Warner, no Blakey there, but he picked up all the pieces and went well. So the goal was there for him, was nice. Merritt was good. I don't know. I'm messaging you about him actually about Zach Merritt. And I said I thought he'd have a big game in his final one. So glad that he came through. Gorney was great. Hill was great in his 300th. Cozzy, tiny bit unders, but he did the job. Nevertheless, Rankin informed player of the comp based on form. He's absolutely
so incredible. Good. Hey,
watching him in person, that all 4 goals he kicked were hard pretty much for every other player, but he just made them look pretty easy. So he was fantastic. Zach Bay was good. Max Hall is going to be someone next year. I think I'm hoping he still has forward status in GameDay Squad because he's going to be someone that's going to be.
You would think he would
next year. Yeah, it was. I think I saw someone post about it on X. It was like a 55-45 split or something like that. Like it in terms of like this. I'm not sure if we'll go to the majority of midfield or the majority of forward, but he obviously has been very, very good. For the year. Cameron obviously got rested as well. Nando did really well as well. And then final shout out as well to the 2 Port boys. I'll leave you to do one of them. But Joe Richards, I don't know if Russman had Joe Richards in his side, but if he didn't,
Can I tell you a secret, Bales?
What?
I actually knew that he was playing a Joe Richards, I think. I obviously didn't tell you that I would never do that. I would never collude between the two.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Probably what goes into my one of the dumbest decisions I made for the week. It ties into that, which I might talk about soon when I get to our rounds. But I think he did play a Joe Richards from memory.
Yeah, what a save! Like he was on.
Oh, it looks grim.
Low 30s at half time, and I was thinking, geez, why the hell did I play you in your side? And then he in the second half he did what I thought he was going to do for the whole game and go, and it went absolutely huge. So shout out to him. And Jace Burgoyne's just really taken that opportunity with both hands while Port have had all their injuries, and with Butters gone, does he step into a midfield role next year more prominent and almost have that, maybe not Naz type breakout, but you'd like similar player in the midfield to get that extra speed in there, and they maybe do like a Rosie and Burgoyne half-back midfield rotation, sort of 50-50 split. That would be interesting to see if that's where they go. But he's had a very good back half of the year, Jace Burgoyne, and some I think we're going to be talking about for a few years to come, I'm sure.
Yeah, and he should still have that defender status there for us too. So, he was my star for the week there. I might even talk about our stars and scars just because we're on the players there. And then I might jump across to our rounds really quickly. We won't touch on much detail there because you're the star there tonight, mate, in terms of that, taking out that win. But, Jace Burgoyne, that 167 was incredible. And that Summerall, I think it has a bit of a wang roll as well. He was doing everything. His stat line was incredible. So definitely someone you're going to be looking at in the future, in those future years, and would have been nice having some salary on him. I just probably wasn't.
I went bronze.
I was confident, but I don't know. I never really considered putting salary on a Jace Burgoyne. And then a Dane Zorko, he was the scar. I had an all-star on him. Just kind of the way it worked out with my classic challenger sides.
You're the Brisbane man, but do you know why he was like? I watched the game and I don't know. There was just something about it. I don't know what happened.
I don't know. The game didn't quite live up to the expectations. So I don't know if that was him just sort of cruising out there, but it wasn't the Porco we know and love. So I wouldn't read too much into it. I think that he'll have a big September. Hopefully we can go deep and he'll be there. But it was just a weird game, very weird game, especially when Darcy Cameron and Nick Dacos were rested and the Lions were up by a bit. He just didn't really have to do what he normally does. So it was an interesting one. Probably won't read too much into it. But when I had an all-star on him, that really hurt. The Nick Dacos and then Dane Zorko, and it was like, oh, that's not really off to a good start. And then had a Tom Sparrow as well. Has a Scar, who you've already spoken about, but he'll present as another option potentially this week in the Wildcard Finals. But Sean Manor was probably the highlight of the round there. And that was my dumb decision for the week, was that I knew Russman was playing Joe Richards, and he was one spot above me in the overall seasonal rankings. I was tossing up between Richards and Manor. I should have just gone Manor because I knew Haz was going Manor and he was one spot below me. So for some reason, I didn't just match Haz and be like, well, if he can pop off, there's a chance I might get ahead of Russman again in the overall. So that was a really dumb decision by me, but that's okay. You live and you learn. And thankfully, Richards did enough because Haz gave me a really big scare. He nearly jumped me in the seasonals. He got within 17 points because, as you can see on screen, he finished first in Classic for the week.
Fifth and sixth for you guys.
Yes, yeah, 5th and 6th. So, yeah, very handy in that seasonal. That gives us a nice prize card selection, which is good. We're excited with that. So let's pick 11 and pick 13, I think, from those provisional things sent out in the Discord that somebody put in. But I'm not sure it's... Sorry?
I wonder what ninth would be, because I was ninth for the season.
Yeah, I'd have to have a look. And I'm not sure that's completely confirmed yet from the GDS side of things. That was just what was posted in the chat. So not sort of locking it in just yet, but it should be around that pick, which will be nice, mate. We're very excited with that. So a good week overall. My second was my best finish was second in Contender, and then I was third in Challenger. And just for some reason, the last 2 weeks, Classic has been the standard comp that I haven't... I've still been going okay, of course. Like I finished 9th for the round, but it's been the one that's let me down out of the 3, which is really disappointing, where that's the one I was caring about the most. But a pretty good week overall, mate. And Dill, as he mentioned in the chat there too, I know we've spoken for a little bit about this, but he actually took out the starter seasonal win. So he finished first overall for starter for Aussie Rules, which is incredible for him. So, yeah, trust the bros, mate, because he's basically just copied the picks that we put on screen, and he'll flick it through to us on Thursday night, and he'll go, what do you think, boys? And we'll go based on teams. We say, him out, him in, swap this player. He makes the changes, and off we go. If there's a laid out, we tell him what to do. So, yeah, it's been really good to see him get the win there in starter. All right, mate, let's go ahead. We'll keep moving. I actually feel like even tonight, the analysis of the games, I don't think they'll take sort of as long as and I shout out to you there too. I think Steven's Heroes, he also took out the Sunday Showdown competition. So he took out the $5,000, which is an incredible prize there for winning the FantasyBros Sunday Showdown competition over Izzy. So shout out to both those coaches as well. He walks away with $250, and I think we're still just awaiting the Consolation Cup update as well, I believe. But here are our fixtures for the Wildcard Finals round. So this is our first week of the final series. We've got 4 teams playing. That first Wildcard Final on Friday night is between the Doggies and the Magpies there at the MCG. And then we have, on the Saturday night, we have the Demons up against the Blues. So 2 really big games there, mate. Have you got any initial thoughts there about the 2 games we're looking at here?
My initial thoughts is it's finals footy. We're here, which is good. Finals footy is always the most exciting time of the year, and it's always exciting when your own teams are in there as well. So obviously your Lions and my Crows are in there, so which is nice to see. I'm a little bit nervous for the Crows after losing both last year, hoping they can just win at least one. And obviously Tex's last final series before he sets off into retirement there. So it'll be interesting to see how they go. And obviously shaken up with the whole Sydney thing, and does the team want to finish third, and like Brisbane finished third? So do they have a better chance of getting through the prelim with a weaker Sydney side? There's plenty to play out over the next 5 weeks of finals before we get to the grand final. So it should be good fun. Now, for those that are playing obviously at home in the finals comps, which comps have we got open? Is it just the Classic and Champion finals comps? Do we have any of the prime time slots, anything like that? Just for those that listening on that may not know.
No, yeah, that is a really good point. There are no special competitions running during the final series. It is just the Classic Finals competition and the Champion Finals competition. So they're the 2 you can play in. I know last year we had Starter and Contender and Challenger, like all the final series running. This year it is just the 2, and there's no special competitions. So just the 2 squads to manage, or potentially the 1 for some coaches. I'll put a team in Champion, but I'll get smoked. I think I'm like $1 million and something under the salary cap there. So we'll see how we go. But you've got the 2 competitions you can be going in. So you may as well put a team in. There's always prizes up for grabs. And yeah, it should be a really good final series.
Yeah, exactly. Looking forward to it.
So let's start previewing our lines, line by line, defenders. You're going to have a number of players here on screen with the 4 teams. It's going to be, we're really having to delve deep into our sort of collection of cards here to fill out a side that we're pretty happy with. So each screen, we're going to have some locks there that we think they're just going to get locked straight into most teams. And then we're going to have a number of other options we could consider. There'll be some points of difference. There might be an avoid or a couple of voids. It just kind of depends. And we'll just chat through them, Bales, in terms of what we're sort of thinking. Because there's just a lot of players I feel like we could be picking from.
Yeah, 100% right. And I think the first one to start off with, Bailey Dale, I think he's locked. And then there's just extra lock rights. Collingwood's a great matchup for defenders. We know they're one of the top matchups for defenders there. So I think Bailey Dale is someone that I think of all the defenders, you probably want to put a little bit of salary on, right? I think he's got the ceiling, he's got the matchup. I know it's funny, right? Because I think people got to remember the other thing as well. If you haven't done finals fantasy before, which unless you play GameDay Squad, you've done like previous comps on like a fantasy or a super coach or something like that. You probably haven't played a lot of fantasy in finals. Scoring is very low. You don't have many of these 150s, 160 scores. Like they just don't really happen.
Finals footy.
A lot more fast footy, a lot more contested. It's a lot obviously harder for it's essentially a different game, right? So we know watching it, but even from a fantasy scoring point, you maybe roughly on average you have 4, 5, 6 tons in a game, right? In normal scoring, GameDay Squad, you might have sort of close to maybe say 10 with a few going 120. Whereas in finals, we might only have a couple in a game that score 120, 130 plus. Like it just depends on how the game goes, but from playing fantasy footy for a while and finals, it's lower one. But I think Dale's got as good a ceiling as anyone to go quite well. But then on the other side, Josh Dagos, great matchup against the Dogs. So it's a good defender matchup. So are we loading up with a few of the defenders from this game specifically, do you reckon?
I think so. I think we do. And just on Bailey Dale as well, his last 3 against the Pies, 112, 120 and 148. So he does score well against the Pies. Obviously, 117 GDS points for Bailey Dale last week, coming back from injury there against the Demons. So I was keen to just watch him last week, but he still looks like the Bailey Dale we know and love. So he is a lock this week. He took 8 kick-ins. I don't think you think too much about that one. Josh Dacos, don't think too much about that one either as well. My question is, I'm probably going to go at Dan Houston as well. I'm contemplating potentially 3 Magpies as well. I've definitely got the 2, I reckon. So you just mentioned the Bulldogs matchup, who they're playing against. They are the best matchup for designated kickers over the past 5 weeks. So they're allowing about 16.92 fantasy points to designated kickers above their average. So that's not GDS points. That's just fantasy points to designated kickers. So that alone, given the fact we've got 2 games to choose from, I think it means we have to look at a Dacos and a Houston. Recent scoring as well, like in terms of a Dacos, 93, 100, 102 last 3 against the Dogs. Dan Houston had a 104 earlier this year against the Dogs. And then before that was the 73 and 74, but they were both played last year and the year before. So I think for me, mate, I'm pretty keen on them. The question I have for you, could you also go a Jeremy Howe as the third option? Because I didn't initially. Again, it was probably because, his last 3 games, he's had 40, 58, and 72. It doesn't really shout like pick me. And I know he had that injury as well that he came back from. But those last 3 games were against the Lions, the Cats, and the Crows. So they're not great matchups for our defenders. Last 3 against the Dogs, though, 109, 91, and 90. So I'm tempted to buy Jeremy Howe as well. So that's a Dacos, a Houston, and a Howe potentially in the back line. Don't think that's too many pies?
No, I don't. It's the matchups there, and you're picking 7 defenders from 2 games, right? You're probably going to have a couple from the same team. And when you look at the other game, when we get chat about that shortly, I don't love a lot of defenders in the game. You've got Jake Bowie there, who I think Jake Bowie's probably, I know the cup matchup's hard, but I think he's probably a lock as well, just with the lack of options we have in defense with only 2 games. I think he's probably locked in as well. Obviously, the matchup isn't amazing, but I like him there. Roy Lobb, I think is this just team selection, right? If Tim English is back,
purely
go
team selection.
There, but if Tim English isn't there, we pick Lobb, I think.
Yeah, that's why I have him on screen there as that point of difference. and you just have to watch the teams. If he's not back, I reckon that he's the one to be looking at. Collingwood are the second best matchup for opposition rucks this season. And when I looked at the without data as well, when Tim English is out, Lobb has plus 15 fantasy points on his average when he's out of the side. So I just think in your back line, if you want a real point of difference that maybe not too many coaches will be looking at, it could be Rory Lobb, but I'm probably not going to go there if Tim English is named,
Agreed.
which I think, mate, I didn't get to see that news today, but what's he looking like? Is he looking, I know we'll talk rucks later, but is he likely to come back this week, or is he still a bit of a test?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen I did see something about it. I just did get a chance to.
No, neither did I. Sorry to put you on the spot. We
exactly.
might look at it when we get to the rucks anyway. We
Unbelievable.
don't have it up.
What are you doing to me, mate? No, I'm just having a look on X, just doing.
Hey, while you do that, I've just got a comment here from Cossy as well.
It's apparently
G'day,
it says here. Sorry, I was just going to say, I just got up here. It says apparently English and Norton likely to return to face Pies, so maybe that means we're not looking at Rory.
Yeah, so look at it. You never know. You just know what there could be a laid out, or he might not get up. We know Tim English has really struggled this year with injury, so keep an eye on it. I'm actually not super keen on it if Tim English comes back. So yeah, thought I'd flag it though. But Cossy, as he mentions there on screen, good to know. We've only got the two comps. Was it Classic and Contender? It's Classic and Champion are the two there, Cossy. So probably playing in Classic there, and it kind of caters for coaches around that starter Contender Classic. We can fill out a side in that competition, and then the Champion competition probably caters for more of those Classic Challenger and Champion coaches. So we're kind of sort of spread across a couple comps there.
I feel like the Champion one is more for the Champion and Challenger ones. I don't think we both play Classic, and I don't think we're just going to put in some players, and we're just going to say maybe if we could get top 30, top 20 would be nice, but I'm probably not expecting to take that one out. But we'll see.
Mate, I finished third in Challenger this round, and I've been flying in the past few weeks. Like, I've been top 5, top 10. I came into 19th overall for the season. I've built that squad across the whole season, and it's a pretty good squad. Like, there's some seriously good cards in there. My Champion Finals one, I have $1.5 million remaining in the salary, and I have a full side in Champion Finals.
I haven't put my squad in, but I'd probably say I'm going to have probably at least that left over, if not maybe 2 million. So it's going to be interesting to see how we go. Yeah,
but jump into Classic as well. We've got the Champion there for those coaches. So I agree with you on a Jake Bowie, right? I actually think so. I've got the one avoid, Christian Salem. Yeah, you can't. I don't think you can actually look at two Demons this week. The Demons, the Blues, who they're playing against, they are one of the toughest matchups for opposition defenders and particularly designated kickers. So they're the second hardest matchup this season, the number one hardest across the past 5 weeks. It's a pretty clear reason why I'm going to avoid. I also think the fantasy scoring potential of the Demons backline drops off significantly after a Jake Bowie. There's a Trent Rivers, for example, who is also there. He's the next best on average, but he's coming off scores of 66 and 73, which is against the Doggies and Port.
He's got the ceiling. That's the thing that he could pop a score, but it's just the matchup just isn't great. I think if you think Melbourne are going to win, then you could pick him. If you think Carlton are going to win, which based on the fact that Van Rooyen's still suspended, who knows if Jefferson's going to get up levers in for surgery. I don't know how they're going to go, which is crazy because a week ago Melbourne were, what was it? They were 5th, and people were thinking, geez, if one of the teams above them lose and they finish 4th, here we go, Melbourne maybe top 4, and then it's funny, like that's how close it's been between 3rd and 7th this year.
Yeah,
you lose a game, like Crows lost against Freo. Crows were looking likely they were going to finish 7th, but it was sort of a few things worked and they finished 6th, and then Melbourne finished 7th. So it's unfortunate, but maybe with the matchup, you're probably looking more at I think you're probably filling out 4 or 5 of your 7 defenders in the first game in the Collingwood Bulldogs game, and then maybe a couple in the last game.
I would feel confident doing that. If you want something to hang your hat on for a Trent Rivers, his last 2 against the Blues, 121 and an 80, but hasn't faced them this year. So that's probably the only other little flag there as well. I'm probably weighting the recent form and the current matchup data more than what he has done on Carlton in the past. So just something to mention. It's probably just a Jake Bowie there for me. So out of the Carlton defenders there, because I probably would like to pick 1 or 2, I reckon you could look at a Billy Wilson. He's the one I reckon you could be looking at for them.
He's the one I've got.
Yeah, I just think his role back there is really good. He took the most kick-ins, which was 4. He's coming off scores of 99 and 121. Even before that, it was like an 84, 79 against the Lions and a 116. So he scores pretty reliably. He's been consistent for our 22s. And I think with the reduced player pool, the reduced teams to choose from, I think he's actually a pretty solid option back there for that game. I know the Demons aren't the best matchup for opposition defenders, but you do need to spread your selections across the games where you can. And I think Billy Wilson is the one I'm looking at. He can just find a really good amount of the footy too. So I'm pretty keen on that. But what about an Ollie Hollands as well? He's another option that I think you could look at. I probably like Billy Wilson more, but I feel like Ollie Hollands could be a bit of a pod. He made his comeback last week, scored 87 against the tough Freo outfit. He had 113 on the Demons early this year, and he's another one a bit like Billy Wilson who could just find a bit of the footy. So I probably don't even mind an Ollie Hollands potentially.
I'm probably not on Ollie Hollands personally. I sort of get lost with what role he is. He's sort of sometimes he's wing, half back. It's sort of he's floating all around the place. I think Wilson, as you said, definitely the guy to pick up. I feel like the two current defenders I'd arguably pick over an Ollie Hollands, I think would be, I don't mind, say, Lockie Cowan as a pod. I feel like they use him a little bit more back into defence here. But the one I'm actually a little bit keen on, obviously just pending to make sure that he's fit, is Nick Haynes. Nick Haynes could be someone. He's the one I think for me that I'm going to have probably sitting in there if he's fit. I just think like you look at
same, I think.
4 of his last 5 games, he's taken at least 10 marks. So he's gone 10, 13, 7, 13, and 11. And his scores in that time from 86, 127, 65, 105, 135. So some really nice scores there. Obviously didn't play against Freo, a bit of an ankle tweak the week before. So I quite like him. It's just a shame Nick Newman's not playing, right? Because I probably would have thought he would have gone pretty well and would have been able to chuck him in there. But one that we did miss, I've got in there at the moment. Didn't have a great game last week, but what are your thoughts on Bailey Williams from the Bulldogs? So he's a guy that's got a ceiling. The low one last week, but before that was pretty solid, like 84, 70, 99, 97, 132. Because I think we've got to adjust our thinking, right? Because there's only 2 games. We can't have everyone averaging 100, right? So we've got to think, okay, maybe 90 or 80 is okay for the back end of your defense. And he's got a ceiling not many of these defenders have got, and it's against Collingwood. So he's one that we didn't chat about. Do you like him as an option?
Oh, it's just that recent form that's really got me. Like, he's definitely an option. I might even find quickly what he's done recently against the Magpies there as well. It's just that recent form that's really scared me off. Like, 84, 70, 99. It's a good point you mentioned that we do probably have to adjust our expectations probably a little bit. What's his role as well? Like, I feel like
he's a little bit like Ollie Hollands, right? A little bit like Ollie Hollands, where it's a bit of wing, bit of half back, and obviously Buderick and Dale came back last week, and that was where obviously he had a lower score. So the last time that Collingwood and the Bulldogs played was all the way back in round 12, and I'm just popping up Bailey Williams' score here. So he ended up scoring where is it? He's actually down the list. I don't see it. Did he maybe not play?
I don't think he played because I'm looking at the last 2 in Stats Lab. 2025 and 2024, the last 2 games, he had a 71 and a 76 against them. I think he's an option. Like, he's a possibility that you could go there. He hasn't ticked many boxes for me recently, just with what he's.
I feel like that's with the defenders though. There's not many that tick the boxes, right? You got Dale, Dacos, Houston, Bowie. Yeah, you got those 4. Yep, and then you've got Billy Wilson. I think, almost 5.
Yeah.
So it's probably Jeremy Howe versus Bailey Williams, right? Probably
Jeremy
if you're looking
Howe.
at it, that's probably where you're looking at it there. And maybe if you want to hedge your bets and don't want to go too heavy on Collingwood, then you go 2 and 2. Maybe I'm not sure.
He's definitely an option. He's one I'm less confident on. That's all. At least Jeremy Howe has the previous scoring against the Doggies in his favour. He's coming off poor scores as well there, but they've played some difficult matchups. Coming back from injury as well, I guess. But yeah, they're probably my thoughts. I'm less confident on a Bailey Williams. Don't love it as much. Definitely worth a mention though. And yeah, I like the Nick Haynes play as well, because if he does come back, I think I could lean that way, and I would prefer him over an Ollie Hollands, like you mentioned.
Yeah. I think I'm just Bailey Williams at the moment over Jeremy Howard but I do like both. So it's sort of just like I've just put bronzes in at the moment, just sort of playing around with the players I like, and I'll sort out the salary and stuff after. But yeah, it's pretty much been Howard versus Haynes versus Williams, and it's pretty much which two of the three am I going to pick. I think that's the decision.
Yeah, I love it. Well, mate, let's move on. We've got the midfielders here where we're looking at. Couple locks, I reckon, potentially a few more as well. But Nick Dacos has to be a lock, right? Coming into a finals, he was rested last week. He will be itching to get back into some September footy action, and he will probably be the most selected player across all squads, I reckon, this week, as he is most weeks. So he's just a lock, and we don't have to talk about him too much. I think Bont as well. He's also a lock.
Is he? Like,
I reckon he is.
And I'm not saying easy because he's in my side, right? Because of the lack of gains, right? But he's likely to cop Ed Allen.
Yeah, he will. I still feel like you play him though. Surely, maybe it's just a question of salary then. But it's a September game. It's September footy. It's final footy. Captain, like.
So he scored a 98 last time he played the Pies, and I'm pretty sure Allen went to him. But then that was around the time that Allen started doing a tags, because like a week or so later he tagged Cozzy, and then Cozzy was like, "Who's this guy?" I didn't know his name and everything like that. So yeah, I'm just saying, like, we are, but I'm probably less likely to play, say, a platinum on him in Classic this week because of the tag, right? Whereas Dacos, I've got the All Star. If you've got a platinum out there, I think you chuck all the salary on top of him there, and I think Bont, maybe you're looking at maybe a silver or even a gold, one of those two ones. I quite like his teammate though. But would you be shocked though if Allen went to Ed Richards?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah. No. So it's a tricky one, but I think you play both.
I still think they have to. They surely have to go to Bont. Like, he looked good last week as well, coming back. He's the most dangerous.
Allen's similar size frame, so like a bigger body mid. So I think
he's done that role on similar players as well, like a Jordan Dawson in that second half of the game, and like he's a good tagger. So
he'll go to Bont, which means Ed Richards can just do what he wants really on the other end.
Yeah, there's no way I'm not picking a Bontempelli in a September game. I'm playing him. Yeah. But it is a good point to think about what salary you're going to put on, because if you want to, like, let's say you had a platinum, right, and you go, I don't want to put a platinum Bont, I might go a gold or a silver potentially. Well, where else are you putting that salary? Like, yes, it's through your midfield, but you've still got to try and flesh out the rest of your squad. I don't know how I'd feel putting something on obviously you're going to have something on Josh Dacos and a Bailey Dale. A couple of the forwards you can. The rucks will be good.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, exactly
right. Too confident going elsewhere.
Yeah, Bont's the one that if you've got that leftover salary, you just chuck it on him, because he's the guy that can put that ceiling on, right, even with a tag. Like, we've seen him get tagged before, and funny enough, that game against Melbourne last week was much more like the Bont that we've seen. Well, no, we've seen previously, we haven't seen this year, right? He started off the season before he had that sort of injured game / that Mullen tag because he started the season off 110, 164, 123, 149, 119. We thought, business as usual for the Bont, just doing his thing. Then he had that 36 and had a good 3-week stretch after that of 133, 128, 161. But from that point on, he only had 4 scores over 130. And normally Bont's like almost every week, 130, 130, 130. Whereas it's like the back half of the year, he probably only had about a third of them over 130, which is not like Bont that we know. I think he has been playing with, obviously he rested the game before last because of this sore Achilles or sore heel or something like that, something to do with his foot, a bit sore. So yeah, you're locking him in. I think you lock Ed Richards in as well. I think you're probably all three. I think you've pretty much everyone watching at the moment, this is the decision. Which of the Carlton midfielders we put in? Because there's so many options.
There are so many.
Florent, Jagger, Hewitt. And Jagger, Florent's the interesting one because he's playing defence, but he's only a midfielder in GameDay Squad. So who are you leaning to out of all these options? Because I feel like Melbourne, there's not many mids. Obviously, they're available in the forward line, most of them, right, besides Jack Steele. But who are you liking at the moment out of Carlton?
Well, it's a thing. I don't want to go too many. I don't think I can. I have 3 at the moment.
I think it's a good number. 3.
And I don't want to go 4. Like, I want to have a Jack Steele. I think one thing I've learned in FantasyBro Sunday Showdown this year that I think is applicable in a final series when you've got those reduced teams to pick from is that you still kind of want to have, you don't want to load up too much on one team. I still feel you want to have at least someone from each. So I go, okay, well, who's the best midfielder? I can pick like an actual midfielder in GameDay Squad for the Demons. It's Jack Steele. So I go, I want a Jack Steele. He's a really good player. Yes, he's had some down
Finals
form
footy
at
day,
times this year.
tackles.
Yeah, 100%. Tackles, tough matchup. Like, I actually feel like this is kind of a Jack Steele blueprint to a good game. So I'm keen to play a Jack Steele. So then the decision is who are you playing? You got to play Sam Walsh. I think he's their best player.
Yep.
And we saw what Sam Walsh did in that final series in 2024, where he won
And the Gary O's medal.
Gary's medal. Yeah, and he had a 140 odd or something against the Lions at the Gabba, just purely from memory. But he was such a damaging player. He is someone built for September, and he's someone who I'm not leaving out of my side. Cripper, same thing. I think I have to play him in September for Carlton in the midfield. And so then it comes down to, am I playing a George Hewitt, or am I playing an Ollie Florent, or am I playing a Jagger Smith? Now, I probably don't want to lean towards a Jagger. I think he'd be a good option.
If he was a forward, he'd be a great option.
If he was a forward, it'd be really good. It's just
doesn't have that ceiling just yet. He doesn't have the ceiling just yet, right? He's an amazing player. He's going to be someone that he's very much in the Dacos, Sheasel, that type of mold that he's dominated in his first full year of actual playing games. Obviously missed last year with his the ACL, but he's been so good this year that when he's going to be like a few years time, few extra pre-seasons, bit more meat on the bone, he's going to be like just raring to go, and we're going to have him in the sides. But I think it's George Hewitt. That's where I've gone.
That's where Haz has gone as well. I could definitely lean that way as well.
You gone Florent?
I have, yeah. I've got Florent in there, but I don't know how much
I like it. I like it. Melbourne give up points to defenders. I think they'd be top 6 or so for designated kickers. You probably got the stat there as well. But since Newman's been out, Florent's been the guy.
He has, and his recent scoring is great. He's had 107, 148, 124, 115, 107. I don't see a ceiling score from him. I don't think it's the game where that's going to happen. So that's probably the thing for me, where it's like, well, is that me just playing it a bit safe? Maybe I should go with George Hewitt, because I think he might have the ceiling in a game like this. But that's
with George
3
Hewitt,
midfielders.
Yeah, exactly. With George Hewitt, though, you take out that 32 that he scored in round 18. Obviously, he had that early neck injury or something like that, or back injury against Hawthorn in that monsoon game. He's only gone under 100 points once since round 13. So like 120, 147, 106, 132, 85 in round 19. I'm not actually sure who he played in that game there, but then 111, 159, 102, 152, 101. So a couple of 150s in his last 4 games as well. So I
think it's probably George Hewitt then.
Yeah, so round
19,
19,
I feel like the ceiling is there for a Hewitt this week. I'm not sure I see a ceiling there for an Ollie Florent, as much as I do like having him, just knowing he plays behind the ball.
Yeah, exactly. In that game against Collingwood, where he had a 85, he still had 25 touches. It was just he had 1 tackle, which is very unlike George Hewitt. So
yeah, it is.
And you talk about Jack Steele, loves to tackle.
Yeah, and that's the thing I see with this game, right? I don't see this game being one where the halfbacks are just going to rack. Like, we're going to have to pick some in our back line. Yeah, that's kind of the way I see it going, just being a hot finals footy game. So if I'm picking that, I'm probably going to go towards a George Hewitt, even though I had an Ollie Florent in there. What about I know we might be jumping games here a little bit, because probably the only other midfielder you might look at this week is not on the screen. It's a Matt Kennedy. Can you trust a Matt Kennedy to round out your midfield against Collingwood?
Oh, I mean, you could. We know Matt Kennedy's a guy that can score really well on his day. It's just that I'll just have a look. What was it? What's his score? So he averaged 101.4 for the year. Like he had that patch, like because he was tunning up pretty much every week to start the year, to be honest. But then, so what's that? Since round 17, like he's only had 1 ton. 1 ton, and then he had 2 back-to-back tons to finish the year.
Do you know why?
No,
his CBAs. So I've got this here.
They dropped.
So from round 17, you said. So he had 46% CBAs in round 17. Round 18 through to round 22, he had 12%, 0%, 4%, 0%, 7%. The last 2 weeks, round 23, round 24, 68% and 66%. Look at that in 2 ways, right? You could say he's back in the CBA mix. He's around the footy, so that should be good for his scoring. Or you could look at it and say, well, what's to say that it actually flips this week and he doesn't quite get in there? Because I've seen that a couple of times this year. That's probably the only thing with him, is that he may be, out of all of those, probably the least, maybe the less certain in terms of that role, but it should still be there. He should still be in that CBAs, given the last 2 weeks. You wouldn't expect they change it coming into a finals game, so he's probably another one you could look at.
Yeah. How about that pod from Ganners that he's
Yeah.
just put in there as well? Sam Swadling, who
Yep.
just quietly has gone, well, maybe not just quietly, to be honest, because we've been talking about him a bit, 125, 130 in his last 2 games. And he's got the Dogs who get up points halfback. So he's been playing a bit off halfback as well. He's someone that has had huge junior numbers and has come into the Collingwood side late in the season, a little bit after playing a few games earlier. And he's got a really nice role. He's going to be someone, again, with, like I said with Jagger, he's going to be someone I think we're going to be talking about a lot in future years.
Yeah.
And if you want an ultimate pod, like I've only got 1 gold. That's it. No silvers, no bronzes, no platinums, no nothing. If you've got one, that's the ultimate pod where he's got the ceiling. If you want to play him to round at your midfield, it'd just be so nice if he was like, if he had defender in him, which he was never going to because he's been a midfielder his junior career, but playing a bit of halfback, he would have been a lock for us and probably would have been someone we'd be really excited about picking. But
Yeah.
I
I
think that's
like
the
it.
ultimate pod. I like it.
I
as
had
well.
him in. I had him in. I have a bronze of him. I had him in at the start of the week. Kind of went away from it because like he is a pod. So yeah, I do like it because he looks really good too. He's just got a natural ability to find the footy. So we talk about not picking too many blues. I don't love a Matt Kennedy, although he's an option. You could go a Sam Swadling.
Yeah, you could.
All right. Any closing thoughts there, mate? Just on the midfielders.
No, I think that's it. I reckon we've covered pretty much all of them. So I think we can move over to the rucks, which I think is probably fairly straightforward. I feel like this week. I think it's.
I think so too. How does that there on screen align with what you're thinking about?
Yeah, it's exactly the same. Yeah, Gorn is an absolute lock if you've got salary to put on him. Like I've got an All-Star card I haven't been able to use all year because I've had Dawson prize card and Nick Dacos All-Star, which I haven't gone away from at all. Whereas I've had a Gorn All-Star that I've played in Prime Time or Sunday Showdown or Challenger or whatever. Whereas that All-Star or Gorn will be sitting in there at that ruck spot. And Darcy Cameron as well. Great matchup against the Dogs. I feel like it's funny, right? Because if English had played more, I think this could be a bit more of a conversation because Collingwood are also a good matchup for rucks.
Yeah.
But he's missed so much for you this year. No continuity. Yeah. I just don't think you can pick him, and I don't think you can go Pitto against Gorn. So I think I think it's real straightforward this week. I think it's Gorn, Cameron, put some salary on these 2 guys, and I think you're away.
Yeah, and to be fair, that's probably as much as I've got on the rucks. Haz was doing the mids and the rucks this week, and I said to him, I was like, "You put your notes in?" He goes, "Nah, it's just those 2."
just do the 2, and that's it. So
yeah, so I reckon so. Keep an eye on Timmy English as well. Obviously, whether he's in the side or not, it might decide what we're doing with a Rory Lobb in the back line. But I think if he's named, I can't quite pick him. But this coach is getting around with his All-Star card from a couple of years ago, so you might want to play that. You might have a diamond you want to throw in that champion side. So, price cards as well. There'd be price card English is getting around. So,
I might chuck him in champion. I might chuck an English in champion because maybe I'm using my Gorn and my Cameron here. So I might have a Gorn Platinum available. I don't know if I've got, like, say, Darcy Cameron Platinum if I use it in this one, right? So maybe I just go, well, let's go Platinum English and Platinum Gorn and see how we go.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to do it as well. That's why we love GameDay Squad too. So we get to use lots of our cards.
Yeah, exactly.
Alrighty, so the forwards then. I think there's lots of options. I reckon this is the line where there's probably the most options available at our disposal to be picking from. And I feel like a lot of them are just very similar to one another. And I think this is going to be very hard to nail this line. I can see whoever wins the week for Classic and the Champion. Line. Well, yeah, could come down the forward line. Or I wouldn't be surprised if their forward line isn't that, if they haven't nailed it either. Like, I don't know if anyone's truly going to nail the forward line this week. But you never know. There might be that.
Hopefully, I am. Hopefully, that's
fingers crossed. But there could be that odd player that just puts their hand up. The hero for the week. It could be just someone you're not quite expecting. So there's lots of options to talk through here. I think a Jordan De Goey and a Cosy Pickett are 2 of the just walk up locks that we can be picking. Like Jordan De Goey, he looks so good last week against the Lions there at the MCG.
It was annoying as well because I like picking De Goey, and he was a pod for me for a number of weeks in that middle part of the year before people started picking him in their GU side. And I thought he's been out for a few weeks and he's has his form has tailed off a little bit, but then just goes bang. Like, what do you have, like 15 touches or something in the first quarter against the Lions? I thought, how's he doing this against the Lions? But yeah, no, I think he's primed for September.
Yeah, a big September, and probably just one you'd be thinking about what salary you're putting on him. And same for a Cosy there too. I think it's going to be the question there as well. What salary are you putting on him? We know that his All-Star card is floating around. I saw some on the trade market as well earlier. So, yeah, Cozzy's going to be a pretty popular player, I would imagine, and someone who can cause a lot of damage. I think the question for me is, though, can you go a Tom Sparrow after
Yeah,
last
you have
week?
to.
So last 2 weeks have been disappointing. 63 and 81 are his last two GDS scores. But the thing for me that is a bit different from like a Matt Kennedy, for example, is that his role's been the same, like basically most of this season, right? Outside of the first few rounds, he had 84% CBAs last week from 81% time on ground. That's about what he's been doing. So I just think that he's one who's really solid. He's playing through the midfield. He's had 130 and 104 in his last two games against the Blues, and I think he's someone that I'm pretty happy to have in my forward line.
Yeah, he's locked. I'm not too worried about the last couple of games. They lost the Dogs. He scored low and then he got rested for a fair bit of that game against Port. He had 7 scores over 114 before these last 2 weeks. I just think he's just we put him in there. I think you don't think too much about him. And I'm glad you have the next guy in.
Yes, he's a lot. I reckon he's a
the.
lock too. By the way,
I think he is as well. Big H, Harry Mackay. He's been really really good. Being that main key forward. Yep. Scored only 52 last week against Freo. We can accept that, but no Jake Lever. Melbourne dealing with a few injuries there as well.
Yeah.
So like before that, 107, 73, 142, had an injured 2 and then a 58 and a 59. But he's been hitting some good form to end the year as well. So I think he's there. I think he's there as well because he's got the ceiling, right? It
he
would
does.
shock us if he kicked 4 or 5 and had like a 120.
And there's another little nugget of gold I found there as to why he's probably a lock there, mate. So obviously earlier in the season, round 3, he had a 101 GDS point game against the Demons there, but Melbourne are also actually the second best matchup for opposition key forwards in the past 5 weeks. They're allowing about 7.5 fantasy points above a key forward's average. So I just think with that, and given the big game, and I do like Carlton in this matchup, I think Harry Mackay's a walk-up lock for me as well in my side.
Yeah, I agree. Now, which of these Collingwood forwards do you like?
Yeah.
You got Pitty, you got Schultz, and I think you could also add McCreary as a bit of an outside because he loves to tackle.
Yes.
Which I know forwards you can get some tackles in these finals.
Yep, and I don't mind that McCreary shout too. Has he been going through the CBAs?
I think he has it at time. I think he has at times depending on sort of who's been injured and who's not. But in terms of his scores, so he's averaging was at 70 odd for the season. So the scores aren't great, right? Yeah, the scores aren't great. So he's only had 1 ton in GameDay Squad all year, and that was 2 weeks ago for a 135. But I guess that's the thing, right? He's a true pod. He's one that you're hoping has like a game of 20 touches, kicks a goal, and has like 10 tackles. Looking at the numbers, I don't think I'm going there. I think he's probably not the bottom, right? But it's like he's the one that can probably win you the week, but he could also lose you the week as well.
If he's exactly. It's hard to predict what score you're going to get from him week in, week out. He had 49% CBAs last week, but again, I'm probably not reading into that too much because I know that they rested Nick Dacos, for example, that last quarter. I don't know how many of those came sort of late in the game, but he rolls through there at times. 27% the week before that, 14% the week before that. It's a good shout. I know there was a bit of chatter about him. I saw somewhere. So
I can tell you how many CBAs he had. So first quarter had 4 to go ahead the most with 8. Second quarter he had 1 compared to Dust, Cameron, and Allen who'd had 8 and 7. Third quarter he was up to 6 and played nearly the whole quarter as well. I think Nick Douglas was at 7, Dust, Cameron was at 8, and then the last quarter he was at 10. Allen had 13, Ned Long had 16. How crazy is that in a quarter of football? There was 16 CBAs for Ned Long, who played 100% tog of the quarter, by the way. But yeah, I think McCreary had a bit more extra time in the CBAs in that second half. So yeah, I think we're probably looking at the other options, but he's one that if you want to go for a real pod and just sort of go, I've got nothing to lose, why not? Then
don't mind that.
Go there.
So the Collingwood forward I like most is Lockie Schultz. So he's in my side.
Agreeing.
So he's the second highest averaging Collingwood forward this season. So that's 85 GDS points, but it's his last 3 games against the Doggies for me. It's 107, 122, and 98. And he passes the eye test as well. So when he's playing, he seems to get his marks. He can kick some goals. He can build that fantasy score a bit more reliably than a Beau McCreary. So he's the one I like the most for me. But what do you think about a Dan McStay? He's the interesting one here. 32 GDS points last week against the Lions, but you could strike that up as a game where, they were blown out and it wasn't really his day. Lions are a really tough opposition to play against, particularly when they've got Big Harris back there as well, all Australian centre-half back. But his last 3 games before that, 95, 134, 140, 104. So actually some pretty good scoring. And the Bulldogs are also a positive matchup for opposition forwards. They're the 4th best for the season and the 6th best recently. He did have a 63 against the Doggies earlier this season, but he's one that I'm genuinely considering.
For me, it's him versus one or both of the Dogs' other forwards that you've got in Fraser and Sanders. I think I'm picking 2 of the 3, and it's just which 2 am I going for? That's the tricky one. I feel like Fraser's the guy again that he was really good last week with the 120. But before that, he had 89, 83, 94, 101. So he's actually been pretty consistent over the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks.
Getting
Joel
CBAs.
Fraser. Yeah, which is good. And I think that's good for him. I think he should be getting some CBAs. And Riley Sanders is the one that he obviously started the season really well. But so his last ton was back in round 12.
Yeah.
So since then, he's gone 92, 65, 87, 98, 82, 72, 95, 76, 72, 81. So I feel like funny, because normally if I'm just looking at names, he's probably the first one I pick. Whereas I feel like looking at the numbers, he's almost the guy I'm fading at the moment because he's just Fraser ahead of him in the CBA pecking order. I don't know. He's because the other one in the midfield that you could consider as a pod as well is we didn't talk about is Libba. I don't know if Libba's going to be back. I'm just having a look here. Is Libba no,
he's
Libba's
not
TBC.
a GameDay Squad, is he?
Oh, okay. No. Libba won't be available after undergoing knee surgery recently. So, okay, no, never mind. No, a midfielder. We didn't touch on the mids, but he's not.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
my bad.
It doesn't even matter. But Libba's out. What was the CBA's last week? Did he get like a tiny bump? No, Fraser obviously got a little bit of a bump. Like Richards had 28, 126.
Sanders had 0% in the past 2 weeks. Like he hasn't been in there at all. But
I think then because Fraser was up at 19, he was the 4th midfielder behind Richards, Bont, and Kenny, and that's I think why Kenny could be an option because Libba was out, and then he had a lot more CBAs and
that is probably a good shout. Hey,
so
it's really like I guess if we circle back to that midfield discussion, right? Like you've got the 3 Dogs, Bont, Richards, Kennedy, or you can go 3 Blues, and it could be a Cripps, Walsh, and a Hewitt, or you could go 3 and 3.
And from each, but it means Jack Steele.
Yeah, that could be another way you go. That's really interesting as well. And a good thing to mention, I think in that forward discussion though between a Fraser and a Sanders, it's a Fraser for me over a Riley Sanders. But just reading out Riley Sanders' stats there, that last spot or 2 in the forward line, do we need to maybe check our expectations on that last spot because he's actually been okay, like giving you 70s. Thereabouts, or is that bar too low? Do we need to maybe try and pick that player who can?
I think you need the guy that can get the ceiling, right? I think that in GS the finals one, because there's only 2 games, you don't want the guys who can just get you 70 and it's fine, right? You want the guys that got the ceiling, right? Which is why I actually think that the more I'm here sitting talking about it, I'm actually leaning towards going 3 Dogs, 3 Carlton mids, and Nick Dacos in the midfield because Jack Steele just doesn't have that same ceiling. That he had those couple of big scores to start the year, like 156, 141, 125. But since then, he's had 2 scores over 120, and there was a 122 and a 123, right? Like there's just no ceiling there. I think if Carlton are going to win, Jackson's probably not going to go big. He's got the tackling pressure, right? But I feel like Matt Kennedy, because I going through this, I didn't actually realize Libba was officially ruled out. So, I've actually changed. I'm 3 Dogs, 3 Carlton mids and Nick Dacos, and I think I am going for Dan McStay in the forward line over Riley Sanders, I reckon.
Yeah, I like those shouts. I really do like a Dan McStay this week. I looked at him a couple of weeks ago against that West Coast matchup as well in Sundays, and I should have trusted myself and gone there like in the Sunday comp because he had a really good game in that positive matchup. And I just feel like this could be one. It's not going to be as good as that. He's not going to go bananas, but you just never know sometimes in finals. I feel like I probably know what I'm going to get from him, and there's a chance for a bigger score than what a Riley Sanders might dish up. But what about right, we have to probably consider some of the Blues forwards. So obviously Will Hayward is there on screen if he can come back into the side. I think he was out last week with an ankle injury from memory.
Not sure if he's going to play. Like just the reading here, like the Blues will put Hayward to a fitness test during Thursday's main session ahead of Saturday night's clash against the Demons. The forward didn't do much training on Tuesday, but the side remains hopeful he'll be okay. So he's going to be hindered at least if he plays a little bit. So I'm probably fading just based off off that, I think.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's something to keep an eye on. So what about a Ben Ainsworth then? Because for me, I don't like. I would have preferred a Will Hayward over a Ben Ainsworth personally. But if he's out, I probably like a Ben Ainsworth more. It's just I feel like he's been very up and down and harder to pick this season as well, and probably comes down to that question of, well, is it maybe a Dan McSay, so to speak, or him to finish out your forward line? Because I like a few other options. Yeah, you could definitely look at it. I just feel like the Carlton defenders, or probably Billy Wilson, right? And the Carlton mids, I'm probably liking a bit more than the forwards. I don't love their options as much as some of the other teams.
No, it's just Hayward. I think it's just not Hayward. Mackay for me that I'm
Yeah,
pretty happy with there. And I think you've got obviously the two Melbourne mids in Cozzy and Sparrow in that game. But I think the other four are coming from the other four are coming from the first game, I think. I thought the first game's going to be the game where if we're going to get some scores, it's going to be that one. And
that's
I think
what I
the
feel as
second
well.
game is going to be a bit more. The top score in GS could be like a 120. There's going to be like maybe a couple of 110s, low tons, and then there's going to be a lot of 90s and 80s. Oh, that's just, I guess, what a feeling I sort of get from the two.
Yep.
But
I reckon if Aaron Norton is named as well, he's probably one I'm going to avoid for this one. He obviously had that big hit. Yeah. He's not going to train much. We're not sure if he's going to get up, but
I think he will. I think he'll get up. It sounds like he will. But I think I'm fading as well.
Last two against the Pies, 66, 40. I don't love picking key forwards. I've already got, you got Harry Mackay there. You've got a Dan McStay if we're going there. It's just I don't want too many in that forward line. So it's probably the other two above an Aaron Norton for me, and it's just one I'm looking to avoid if he's named.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Is there anyone else I may have left out that you've been thinking about?
No, I don't think so. I think we've pretty much covered all the players there. Like, I guess if Pat Lipinski plays, could he be as a forward? Maybe.
Yep.
He's a guy that's not usually like a high score every week, but he has got the ability to put a good score up. Like that. Maybe Quainer in defence has got a ceiling on his day against the Dogs. If you want to go for a pot as well, but I think we've covered most of them right. I think these are games where you probably don't want to take more than one risk in each line at most, because you might go, oh, yeah, well, my lowest score drops off, but we're not expecting all our players to score well, right? So there's more risk of these back end of our forwards and defences that don't score big, that if you cop an injury in one of the players you expect to go well, then you're relying on those players you took a risk on. So, that risk profile is probably something I'd be keeping an eye on as well, in your sides. Unless you're playing champion and you're like, well, I'm not expected to win anyway, then go for it. Go for all the risks
you got a card sitting there.
Yeah,
absolutely. Mate, that's record time. Getting through all that analysis.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I thought we could have even been done by 40-odd minutes, but an hour for two games, I think the listeners hopefully...
Wow, mate, I think we spent like 30
to get there.
Going for your cup win. That's probably been the biggest analysis so far, and fair enough too. But speaking of a big win, I got another win in the BroDown ShowDown here against Haz, our round 24 standard edition. It was plug and plays only. We had all the big dogs going up against one another, and I got the win, 3-1 there. It took my lead out to 11-9, and as Haz said, we're going to play through all the way to the end of the year, but I'll tell you what's going to happen in our final series edition. But as you can see there on screen, mate, Zorko took out the win against Witt in a very lackluster edition.
Look how close it was. Like people look at it here and says 3-1, you would have won anyway, but it was like if people look at the forward matchup, 1 point.
So good. Yeah, that was an unreal hit out, that one. Rankin 161 and Brad Hill 162. That was massive scores last
Rankin
week.
Rankin sat the last 8-9 minutes of the game on the bench as well. That was probably what he would have passed it, but you would have got it done because Baz went huge. So he would have got the highest score.
While we're talking Rankin, we got some time as well. Adelaide man that you are, what are your thoughts on an Isaac Rankin next year? He's going to be probably midfield only, I would imagine, in GameDay Squad. What would his relevance be in season 2027? And for somebody looking at their prize card list, he's someone I would love to be looking at because he's such a good player to watch. I've loved the form that he's been in. I reckon he's easily one of the best players in the game when he's got that pure midfield role. He's fit and he's at his best.
Number one rated player in the game over the last since 2017.
What's his relevance next year?
Oh, it's tough. It's tough. When you lose forward status and you're not it's different with like when Shees and guys that have lost it.
That's the other thing. Shees, Wang, Dacos, Dawson. I think Goulden's forward, potentially.
I don't think he will, actually. I think he'll lose it. I think he'll play midfield because of Heaney and Warner being out, which will cost him forward status in all the other formats. So I don't think he'll get it, unfortunately, which I want him to, because I love Errol, and it would just be even better to have him as a forward in GDS and in other formats. But I feel like Naz and Shees, they're different. They're already a 110 plus in other formats. They're like guys that average well over 120 in GDS. Rankin, it'll be interesting to see, because next year people are going to do the homework in the offseason, right? He's probably going to be the guy they'll want to shut down more than Dawson. So maybe it's a good thing for Dawson, on the other hand. He doesn't get the attention. He goes big. So it'd be interesting to see. I think Rankin could be solid, but he might be a guy that you pick if he plays some of the good matchups there, like, because we know he's got the ceiling in those matchups. But then again, like we do say that, but he went what? Like, I'm just getting up the Rankin's last few scores there. So he ended up going, if I just pop it, so he was the second high. Was he the second highest averaging forward in GDS this year? Yeah, averaging 115.9 behind Shees, who was next. Like he went 161, 189 against Freo. Like, that's the thing. He went, his highest score of the year was against Freo.
Over in the West.
164, 147, 120, 105, 159. Like, yeah, maybe he is. Maybe might be someone we talk even more about. Be interesting to see where he goes in the prize card draft. That's going to be really interesting to see if anyone picks him up. Well, some will, but
exactly right. Yeah, and that's the thing. It probably comes down to where your pick is, right? But geez, he's a good player. It's just a shame that we won't be able to pick him as a forward. But in saying that, if he hadn't gone through the midfield this year, then we wouldn't have seen that sort of scoring. So yeah, he's an unreal player. And to all those coaches who did pick me in the BroDown ShowDown last week, you can see those names there on screen. That's Janeth, Arnie Booger, Mian, and Silver Pigeon. Congratulations to those guys. I'm going to shuffle those names around, spin that wheel, and we're going to see who. I'm going to give away the 9-player common pack. I'm going to have the whole pack. Who is going to get that prize? Silver Pigeon, or will it get to Mian? I feel like that wheel stopped very quickly there.
It did. Silver I think because there's less names, it stops a little bit quicker, I think.
There you go. All right, well, I'll flick over here. I've got that pack there ready, and we'll rip that and go here for Silver Pigeon. As I said, can have the whole pack there.
I'm glad you said last time you did this as well. You gave the whole pack, because then it doesn't put the pressure on me to pick a row and then sit here and go, crap, we've got nothing in that pack. So which is good. So not the
can be stressful. Let's see how we go. Hopefully we get a good pack there for Silver Pigeon. So let's see, what cards have we got here? Silvers and golds. 2 golds so far. Ed Allen, Luke Trainer, and Jeremy Howe. Silver Jeremy Howe. Handy for this weekend.
Two of those guys you might be able to use in this week, depending on how many cards Silver Pigeon's got. I think Silver Pigeon's got plenty of cards, so I don't think he's going to be using Ed Allen or maybe Silver Jeremy's probably already got him, to be honest. But
yeah, but handier anyway. And again, there's just a couple all right cards here too. Silver Archie Roberts. Take that. That's a good card to have. Nick Cox as well. Ooh, 3
Essendon. 3 Essendon, 2 Collingwood. Is this going to be Richmond?
Yeah. Geelong. And then, there you go. 4 Bombers in a row. Connor Giannis. And a Campbell Gray as well. Okay, so Silver Pigeon now.
You don't often see a pack be limited to 1, 2, 3, 4 teams. You don't normally see a pack be limited. You normally see like 6 or 7 teams out of the 9, but interesting.
Yeah. There you go. Silver Pigeon, put a trade up, mate. They're all yours. You're welcome to have those. And yeah, some good cards there, particularly for Dynasty as well in your Archie Roberts in particular there. I'll just flick it on back here, because in the final series, mate, with the way we're going to do this, Haz and I, as I said, we're playing all the way through to the grand final. So anyone can still win the BroDown ShowDown. As much as I want to say that I actually won this year, we're going to play it all the way through. It's double points as well. So for every BroDown ShowDown win you get 2 points. And we're going to potentially maybe even increase that as we go throughout the final series. We'll just have to see. But Haz did remind me, this is where he shines in the final series. He wipes the floor with me last year, 4-0. I didn't get a single win in the BroDown ShowDown last year until
you don't want that this time. You'll give up the lead.
Yeah, exactly. So I need to hold on. And you can see the picks there on screen. So our defenders, Haz has picked Josh Dacos. I've picked Bailey Dale. In the midfield, he has Nick Dacos against my Bontempelli. In the ruck, he has Darcy Cameron versus my Max Gawn, and the forward line, he's Cozzy Pickett versus my Jordan De Goey. So get your comment in the chat. Who do you think is going to take out the Wildcard Finals edition of the BroDown ShowDown, which is worth double points? Is it going to be Haz with double Dacos, Darcy Cameron, and a Cozzy Pickett? Or will it be my combination of Bailey Dale, Bontempelli, Gawn, and Jordan De Goey? Get that comment in the chat now. Comment Haz, comment Pitty, and you'll go in the running to win a pack next week on show as well. Have you got any thoughts there, Bales, about the initial who might get up?
I think Haz has got the Dacos v Bont, just because if I think Bont's going to get some tags, I then think Gawn's going to get. I think Gawn's going to get it done over Cameron. Then it's going to come down to De Goey and Dale versus Cozzy and Dacos. I think that might be where it comes down to. So it's going to be very, very tight, I reckon.
I feel like it's a coin flip again. It could really go any way, this one. And Cossy Posse has his comment in the chat there as well. He reckons Haz will get the win. Good job, Cossy. We'll see how we go. I'm hoping that it doesn't end up that way, but obviously for your sake, that would be nice if it does, because you could potentially win yourself a pack, just like Silver Pigeon did. So get your comment in the chat as well.
I might go you just. But
there you go.
Like it's going to be very, very
close. Let me write a note for myself, mate, because I always forget when you mention. I'll write a note for myself. No, do that next week.
No, you don't need to put me on, mate. I'll let the other listeners get the chance to win some prizes, mate. But I'll put my pick in. But hey, if you want to put me in there, then I'm not going to say no.
Our cup champion needs to be in there. All right. Now, again, you users make FantasyBro socials at FantasyBros AU. Use that code on screen, FBAR26. This is our first week of the new finals competitions, the classic finals competition and the champion finals competition. There's no other special comps running, no other standard comps. We're in 2 brand new competitions. So we're playing for weekly prizes. We're also playing for across the final series. We're playing for some overall prizes. So from memory, there's some all-star packs to be won at the end based on your place, potentially some prize cards as well. So still plenty to play for in GameDay Squad, and it's never too late to sign up. Bales, thanks so much for joining us on, mate. And we've got I say week 1 with an asterisk of the finals, because it's week 1 of the traditional final series. We see our qualifying finals and our elimination finals. Yeah. But we know that obviously it's now across 5 weeks with the wildcard finals this week. So it's just an early week of finals fantasy footy.
Hey, we're not going to complain with some more finals footy, I think. I know that a few people have been annoyed with the wildcard ones, and probably one that probably wish it came in when there was 20 teams and it's sort of even. Top 10 make it through, bottom 10 don't. But hey, finals footy, we love it. So I'm sure that we're annoyed. Some people might be annoyed about it, but when it comes to Friday and Saturday night, I think we're all going to be glued to the screens and watching these 2 games and see who plays the Cats and the Crows next week.
Yep, I love it. And again, thanks for joining us, mate. Big congratulations again for taking out the cup. You're an awesome coach, and we appreciate having you on as well for your insight. We're claiming you as a fantasy bro this year. So we can say,
I'm happy to be the third fantasy bro for the Aussie rules side of things. So yeah, mate, it's been good.
Love that, mate. All right, and we'll see you later. Good luck to everyone for the week ahead. Good luck to you there, Bales. And